Who thinks they know the difference between a dream and a goal? You hear these things, goals, dreams, you wish upon a star, whatever the case may be, but we all say it, right? Oh, like I have my dream is to be this one day. I have a goal to do this. Who can really tell me the difference between those two? Because sometimes I feel like those two can get mixed in together every now and then. Episode 11, everybody. Let's fall in. Let's get this thing going. For those that don't know who I am, I'm Edward Andrade, your voice of reasoning, your voice behind the mic, your master of ceremonies, whatever you want to call this thing. Dreams versus your goals. Let's see if we can figure out the difference, right? A dream is the destination you imagine, but a goal is the measurable step that gets you closer to it. Dreams are felt, goals are planned. One gives you direction, the other gives you a way to move. When I was graduating high school, I went through a hard period in my life where I really needed to reflect back and think, what am I going to do with my life? And my goal, ultimately my goal was just to go to college. Didn't really care what at the time. I thought I kind of had an idea to maybe be a teacher one day, but my goal ultimately was to go to college. Well, what did I have to do to get there? I needed discipline. I needed those traits that were going to make me successful to reach my goal to go to college and take it seriously. Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Marine Corps is the thing that gave me those traits. It gave me discipline. It gave me structure. It gave me focus to where now I know if hey, Sergeant A, hey there, Lance Corporal A, this is your mission. You got to do this job. Make sure you and your 3 other Lance Corporal buddies get this thing done. Aye, Sergeant Major, no problem. Sergeant A, Corporal A, Lance Corporal A is on the job. It gave me the things I needed to make sure that at the end of all of this, I got the success that I needed to ensure that I got my college education. A dream of mine, I'll put out there in the ether. I'm challenging my inner Alejandro Polino, and I am shooting for the stars and putting out there in the ether that maybe one day Mr. Edward Andrade will be on a ballot for mayor of San Antonio. I don't know. I'm not saying that's going to happen anytime soon, but there's a dream there that if I had the power, the resources, and everything to put my name on a ballot to become mayor of San Antonio, I would. I love this city. Love San Antonio. Goals and dreams, right? Dreams are infinite. Goals are finite. A dream can stay alive forever, shifting and growing as you do, but a goal has an endpoint. You either hit it, you miss it, or you kind of got to replace it. That's what makes goals both powerful and limiting. There's checkpoints, and it's the entire journey of it all. Some people have to fall back. Some people, hey, look, I need to get to this piece in my life. This is the goal here. These are the things I need to get there, right? My goal, to go to college. What did I have to get there? Well, I needed to have structure, discipline, everything. Guess what? Marine Corps. Hey, great. Thank you, Marine Corps. Hey, Marine Corps, and turned me into the well-disciplined, oiled machine that I was, or that I still am. And it got me to my goal in getting into college. You're setting up goals, checkpoints. Think of it like a video game, right? You're not going to be able to just get to the end and you know what's going on. Your character must go through the development and reach those checkpoints along the way to be sure that it grows, that you learn its story. That's what this is. If you need some kind of analogy to making your goals happen, think of it like a video game. Set yourself up with checkpoints to ultimately reach your goal, because we want to be as successful as possible, right? If your plan is to win worlds, if your plan is to be high school national champion, what are you doing to get yourself there? You know, you can't just expect to just be doing this in your garage and you have zero resources. Let's say you're not even interested in drill team, but you have zero resources, no drill team, nothing, and you expect to go to nationals and win. That's not how that's going to happen. We have the drill dojo. You have your drill teams. You probably have that senior that's maybe interested, that knows some way, shape, or form. You have these professional teams, these post-high school drillers that are out there that are consistently doing this, that are staying in tune, in shape, in line, so that way they're ready for the national stage. I guarantee you, if you reach out to one of those drillers, I'm more than confident they would be more than happy to help. I'd be shocked if they didn't. It's the journey. It's the process of it all. You learn something every step of the way. You never learn by being perfect all the time. Your greatest teacher is what? Your failures. We've said this before, right? And goals without dreams just become hollow. Chasing goals with no larger dream behind him kind of turn into just these check boxes. Success is without meaning. The dream is what gives you its goal. That's why you're going after it. You have aspirations. You have places to go. Your dream is to see that national stage, and it's the goals you set up to make that dream happen. Dreams just aren't fantasy. This isn't something where you just like this is something cute and fun. Like, no, like this isn't something that if you're serious about it, if you're passionate about it, what are you doing to make this thing happen? What are you doing to make this thing grow? Like I said, I want our sport to be bigger. I want it to be greater. I want it to be better. What am I doing to that? Hey, I mean, you're listening to me right now, and and is it enough? Maybe not, but it's a step. Small steps, small goals. I mean, look at this thing. We got to season 1, people. We got through season 1. Episode 11, that is not nothing. That is something. Episode 11, we've spoken to 7 different people with 7 different ideas. Some of them may have the same messages, but all of them had different dreams. All of them had different goals, and they would not be sharing their knowledge, their experiences, if I didn't think it was worthy enough to put on this thing to inspire you to make new dreams, to make new goals. Have a dream, follow that dream with your goal. And guess what? Like every math problem, the inverse is true too. Dreams without goals, they just stay fantasies, people. A dream with no goals attached never actually move. It's just something you think about, not something that you build. There's this phrase that I learned from a few groups of mine in the Marine Corps, and there's no PG, but they call it mental masturbation, where you just talk about the good stuff. It feels great talking about the good stuff. I have a few old friends of mine who had a goal to start a business, and it's great talking about it where we got the big idea. We're like, oh man, wouldn't this be great? And blah, blah. Oh, we could do this, we could do that, and blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, we're going to be so great. We're going to be so rich and blah, blah, blah. Mental masturbation, right? What are you really doing to achieve where that business is going? And note to self, it didn't go anywhere, unfortunately, but that's all it was. It was just dreams and nothing really moving behind it. It was just the feel good of talk that moved it, that kept it alive, but nothing was ever truly becoming true. Like I said, the goals kind of just turned into dreams, and it turned into this wish that we hoped to plan. Like it wasn't anything serious. And if your goal is to be number 1, to be top 10, to make it to medals, just small achievements, small goals will get you there. Do not try to rush your process. Don't try to make this thing happen overnight, because you will always be met with disappointment. Small goals get you to the points to where you want to go, and I promise you, you'll start to find more victories that way. And that points me to the most important thing, is the real discipline is managing both at the same time. The hardest part isn't picking one over the other. It's holding onto the size of the dream while staying disciplined enough to hit the goal after goal, especially when the progress feels slow or the goal feels like it's going to fall short. It's hard staying on track for something. It's hard drawing that pyramid saying this is the tip of the spear. This is where the goal is. And yet you see how large it is at the bottom and how narrow it gets to the top, and you feel like you'll never reach it. You must be able to manage your expectations. For example, for a year now, right? For a year, I've been going through this process to potentially, nothing secure yet, but I'm getting my Merchant Marine credentials. If you don't know what the Merchant Marines are, they're pretty much the guys who, they work the really big cargo ships for the military. They're civilians that do it. And like I said, I'm a logistics guy, so I love stuff that move. Logistics moves on a boat. So I'm like, hey, I could do that. Over the last year, I've been going through this process where I've been getting physicals done. I've been getting mental evaluated. I've had to submit forms and zero guidance. I've had zero guidance and this long laundry list of process that makes zero sense. It's really hard and it's just dry. It's boring. But over the last year, I've been doing this thing and I finally submitted it a few months ago, right? I got 1/2 of my certification. I got my medical certification. Now I'm waiting on the last half, which is the actual Merchant Marine cert. It has to go through several more stages. But I just got an email the other day saying, hey, guess what? You got to the next step. I don't know how many more steps there are. There's zero guidance that tells me how many steps there are. But all I know is it's moving in the right direction. But that took me over a year just to submit paperwork, not even to get the paperwork filled out, not to see the medical doctors or anything, just to be able to get the paperwork filled and to make sure whatever I'm submitting is right. It took over a year, but it's the goals every step of the way that kept me pushing to move on with this thing. And it's finally getting closer. It's managing your expectations so that way you don't feel like you're coming up short. Trust me, every process you'll ever try will almost never work the first time you go through it. And if it does, then by God, I salute you. Congratulations. But just because you fall short does not mean you give up. It does not mean you give up. And that was the greatest lesson that I learned from Andrew Katz. The guy is a go-getter. He is motivating. He is inspirational. You will learn from his story today. If you have a goal, if you have a dream, you will do whatever it takes to make that dream happen. And Andrew Katz has given me that motivation. He has given me that much confidence to start this thing off right. Because I think sometimes in this world of drill, we have these goals and we have these dreams, and they're consistently met with disappointment because our world is flooded with talent. Because our post-high school drillers, you're met with drillers like Jackson Blade Rainwater. You're met with guys like Andrew Katz, Trey Davison, Adam Jupe. You're met with some of these heavy hitter names that these guys are still drilling at a level where it's hard to compete with, and it's almost like, well, what's the point? But I promise you, by the end of what you'll learn today, you will learn the difference between a dream and a goal if you haven't learned it from me yet. But I will let the man himself dive deeper into it, introduce himself. Andrew Katz is not a nobody in this world. Everybody gives me with such great pleasure and with excitement, enthusiasm, and next level. It was so great talking to the guy. Air Force Second Lieutenant, United States Air Force Academy graduate, Second Lieutenant Andrew Katz.
I'm Andrew Katz. I'm a recent Second Lieutenant in the United States Air Force. Just graduated out of the United States Air Force Academy. Super proud of that. And I say I'm from Texas, but I'm a military brat by trait. So I moved around my whole life, but my family lives in Texas right now, so I say I'm from Texas, but currently live in Florida. Three of my biggest accomplishments is one, graduating the United States Air Force Academy. It's been a lifelong dream of mine since I was a kid. I don't even remember the day I said I wanted to go to the United States Air Force Academy, because I just always kind of wanted to go. It was just like, never really had a moment. It was just like part of my whole life of wanting to go. So that was a huge accomplishment, graduating this past May. Super proud of that. And then second accomplishment is right now, the reason I'm in Florida is because I just got picked up to be a combat systems officer for the United States Air Force, which for those of you who don't know, it's like the goose or the bob in Top Gun Maverick or Top Gun. It's like the backseater. So I'm like an official, backseat driver per se. So I'm in training for that right now, and that's been a super lifelong dream of just being in the plane and doing that mission. I'm super proud of that.
Fast.
Yeah, fast and pointy. And I love being in the military, and the Air Force has gifted me so much in my life. And then the third one, I had to think hard about that one. But one thing that I'm pretty proud of is the strong relationship I have with my family. Me and my family are super close, especially me and my parents. I'll get into it probably later down in the interview or the podcast, but they even have such a big influence on my drill. They're not your typical parents of just, cheering on and being like, man, that triple looks real great, sweetie. Like, they actually are super into it, and they actually know like a lot of my routines, and they help me build it. So that's just like some really big accomplishments in my life. And fun fact, I do media. If you guys follow me on social media, I do a lot of videos. I love doing that. But I actually did a lot at the academy that I don't think a lot of people know. I was the official media manager and did the official videos, pictures, and graphics for the Air Force women's gymnastics team, the Spirit team, which is like the mascot dance and cheer, along with a bunch of other, kind of freelance jobs with track and field and sports medicine, a bunch of just small projects for the Air Force Academy down there. It's kind of floating around there in the wild, but I think that's a fun fact. I don't think I did a lot of media for these past 4 years, so that was just I don't think a lot of people know that about me. So, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's sick. Since I've been doing this whole podcast thing, trying to get into social media, put a couple videos out there of me just practicing just to put something else other than the podcast. And I have a recent graduate who he is awesome at videography, and he was giving me a couple pointers and some lessons. He's like, "Oh, Mr. Edward, you gotta look at this, gotta look at that," and you gotta have an eye for it. And I don't want to consider myself old, but at the same time, grew up in an era where the first phone I ever had was a flip phone, and
Boy, yeah.
yeah, you're not taking no 4K pictures on that thing or videos. So, but no, I think that's super awesome to be able to have that talent, that eye for videography, taking pictures. And Andrew, I'm so grateful to have you here. I think it is super important to not just have somebody with your kind of resume, but to have somebody with your kind of experience, because that's the thing that I'm really after today is we're going to dive deeper into your college background and obviously your drill history, because like you said, one of your major accomplishments was graduating from the Air Force Academy, which that is a whole tier of its own. Kudos to that, and now commissioned second lieutenant in the Air Force as well. These are such huge things to have, and it's super exciting to dig deeper into this. And before I kick off all my questions, I asked Jackson the same question before we started. And I want to know if you had a Mount Rushmore of drillers, your top four, in
Boy.
which whoever they inspired you or whatever it is who you think your best four would be in whatever category you want, who would they be and why?
Boy, that's a tough question. It's funny. I just watched the episode with you and Jackson, and I heard that question. I was like, man, that's a tough question. I was like, I hope I don't get that. Shoot. So I'll say, I feel like you can make a Mount Rushmore of drillers just like on so many different, like influence could be another one, competitive drill, trick drill. Like there's so many. I'll do this. I'll say my Mount Rushmore of people that I would be really scared to compete against in terms of competitive drill.
Okay.
And I think the first person on that would be Sam Gozo.
Oh yeah.
I just think he has such a raw power. And personally, in my opinion, my humble opinion, his 2020 Worlds routine, I think is hands down the best solo I've ever seen. Like, I think even in person, if that was done in Daytona, I think it's a timeless solo. And it's just like, it's ridiculous what he does. And I'd be really scared. I'd be like, I'm cooked. I'd be like, I need to retire. So I think he's just such raw power and strength and drill. He's definitely on there.
Yes, Jackson and I kind of talked about it where some judges feel like you move that weapon too easy. And like, what are you going to write down for Sam Gozo's excuse?
Yeah, no,
I mean,
it's
he is out of this world, and respectfully, he's a
yes,
freak. So
it's ridiculous. Yeah, he's like first base for sure. And I think second, and I think you'll definitely agree with this. I know Jackson would. Matt Windling for sure. In terms of just like someone who deeply understands fundamentals and routine construction and just probably the most genius mind in drill strategy, it goes to him. And like, there's so much to learn off of him. I can't even I don't think if I had a whole year, I still wouldn't get everything I could out of him. So he's just a drill genius, and he's just so sharp, so good at his fundamentals.
yes, I was talking with my best friend the other day about Matt Windling, and I was like, I'm starting to realize that Matt Windling's connected to a lot of these people that I've talked to and I've interviewed. And I'm going to assume later on in this interview, every single time I've talked to somebody, Matt Windling's being involved somewhere in there. And whether that's by me or by somebody else, it's interesting. And it's almost like a godfather level of drill,
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
you've come to my daughter's wedding kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and because I didn't know Alejandro Polino was set up for that Golden State Warriors game by Matt Windling. I'm like, okay, this is pretty weird. And then,
I didn't know about that right now. Just found out about that right now. I didn't even know that.
yeah, I'm just like, wow, like really, like he's like Matt Windling's the reason why that happened. And then, he has such an influence on Jackson Rainwater, and
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, like cool, like I'm starting to see something. All right, Matt, I see you.
for sure. No, he's got his hands everywhere. It's crazy. No, but he's for sure on there. I think the third face is Michael Wren, kind of the Wren brothers. I like if I can combine them into one, and it's easy because they're twins. So like into one face, the Wren brothers, especially in tandem, it's like not only are they fantastic military execution, kind of style drillers, but then they're twins. So it's like there's nothing like if I was a judge, it's like I have to give them the win. It's ridiculous not to. So it's again like someone I'd be super scared to compete against, not only in solo but especially in tandem. I think there's a reason why they just dominated back in the day,
Yeah.
and I think they still would today.
Yes. I've never considered myself a soloist. Like I've done it. I've performed solo when I was in high school and whatnot, but it was never truly like my niche. I always found myself more of a tandem partner. And
Gotcha. Yeah.
I love tandems, and my both tandem partners I had in high school were both my best friends. We were the exact same height. We were both the same ethnicity, and it just clicked. It worked. We started the both of us on our tandem. I feel like you gradually start to share a brain cell, and I feel like it only helps when you're a twin and you're competing at that high of a level. It, like you said, it almost have to take the win.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think like it's again it would be ridiculous not to at their level. And I think the last kind of face, and again, this is real personal to me. I don't think a lot of people would agree with this whole Mount Rushmore thing, but I think last one for me would be Naraya Garen, but a very specific Naraya Garen of like his 2020 world routine type. I think Naraya right now, he does a fantastic job of like doing what he wants to do and doing what like he's just super artistic, one of the most artistic people I've met with drill. But I know that if like there was a version, like a multiverse like version of Naraya where he was like he just completely, you know, fully went into like the military style of drill of some sort, he really understands that and really gets it down. And he does like turn. It's just crazy. I think people really underestimate Naraya in terms of like his past experience with the Air Force Honor Guard and all that. He came out and coached the academy guys for one day back in 2025, and he just has a plethora of knowledge. Like he doesn't even tap into because he's doing his other stuff with rifle flow. But I think that version of Naraya is like super specific. Like
I like how you say, if there's another multiverse version of Naraya out there.
yeah.
I can only imagine how many others, one of us from whatever dimension we would like to see ourselves in.
Yeah, for sure. There's like a 6-foot version of me there, I'm
Oh
sure.
my. And let me set the record straight. Like if I could be 6 foot and a driller, I feel like I'd be unstoppable in my own right, just because I already feel that much more confident because I got that extra.
Yeah.
So I feel your pain. I understand.
No,
But
100%.
But Andrew, sir, I am so thankful to have you here and for you to take the time and for us to be able to talk, get to know each other a little bit more. And I'm thankful that we were actually able to meet face to face because we met at the drill camp,
Yes.
at the Texas comp, and then at the Lone Guard drill and chill thing. So I'm glad we actually had some FaceTime with each other so that we were not complete strangers.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm super thankful. And I can't think of anywhere else better to start than the first question I have for you. And before the championships, the world records, and all the recognition that comes with it, what first made you believe that pursuing drill at a serious level could become a major part of your life? Because for guys like yourself and for all the other drillers that are out there that are performing into the worlds, I don't want to say it's a lifestyle because I mean, no one's living, I don't think there's a quote unquote drill way of life. But I mean, obviously drill becomes big pieces of everybody here. It's like mine, Jackson's, yourself. So what made you believe that this thing was serious enough to start pursuing into what I would think is like a pro level of drill?
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic question. So I actually went down and went over these questions with during lunch with my parents because again, I have a super close relationship with them and they understand my drill life because they've been there since the beginning. And we talked about it, and it was just the conversation went that like it never occurred to me that during my drill journey that I was like, this is going to become a major part of my life. It was just it wasn't even a question in my mind. I was just so focused on and obsessed with the activity itself that I didn't even think that was a possibility. And now that I kind of look back and realize the level that I'm at now and where I'm at in my life, it's kind of awing to me. And it's weird to think what I've done now based on where I started. Because when I was just a kid starting this, it was literally just like me looking at Adam Drew's videos and trying to teach myself and kind of thinking like, man, like one day going to Daytona would be like super awesome, like competing with the big dogs. And I even remember like looking at Sam Goza's videos and being like, man, that's like one big high schooler. And I was like, they like, what's going on? I was like, what's going on down there? And like, I had no idea what was going on in the drill world.
Yeah,
So
what do they have in the water in Daytona?
yeah, no, I was like, what are they feeding these kids? Like, you met me. I'm a pretty short guy. I'm not like Sam Gozo built level type person. When I was in high school, I was shorter and so much more scrawnier. It was ridiculous. And so it was really just me, like me and this rifle and like not even a dream. It was just a goal, I would say, which is, I'm not, to me, they're different because my goal was just to, to compete and get better. There wasn't a dream of like, man, I'm going to become a world champion and I'm gonna, influence people and such and blah, blah, blah. It was just more so like me and the rifle. And I just had a goal. I was like, I want to improve. I know I suck. And I was really hard on myself. I still am very hard on myself. And I was just like, I just want to improve and I want to go compete and I want to see progression and I want to be the underdog, typical story that, the guy that wins, and everything else has been a result of that. And it's just been, again, it's been really weird to look back at it now, kind of in the position I'm in now, where it's like people will come up to me and be like, man, your videos are so inspiring. Like, and they'll come to me and they're like, man, you were like the first solo I watched when I was getting into drill. And I'm like, man, what a terrible first impression. I was I'm like, I was watching Sam Gozo 2016 and you're watching me. I'm like, man, that is like, I can't believe that. I'm like, how am I the first person you're watching? So that's just like where my mind is now. I can't even comprehend it still. And it really was just like, it was never about, I never even factored in how serious this can be. It was just like, I have a very addictive personality, and drill, did that fix for me. And I had a goal of improving and that's all I wanted. So that's the best I could do to answer that question.
No, I think that's really good. I feel like that's kind of how everybody kind of is before they get into this thing. You start this thing as this after school activity, and then you start to think, man, like this is really cool, this is really fun. And then maybe you have that one driller on your team that maybe they're the only one that could do a triple, and it's like, man, like I didn't even know that could happen. And then you spiral down and go down the rabbit hole in YouTube and find the drill dojo and everything else. You're like, wow, this is something bigger than I thought. And I love it that you said that you never thought this thing was going to be a major piece of your life. Cause I mean, for everybody, I don't think they really understand that it can be. And we're doing it for the love of the sport. And like you said, there is a difference between your goals and dreams and being the underdog and then becoming the influence into what you are today. Because when I look at teams now for when I have to coach my high schoolers, I'll purposely look for a team that has a shorter guy on their team, because if that guy who is maybe a foot taller than the rifle and he's drilling at a high level, what is anyone else's excuse?
No, 100%.
I think being able to have that ability to influence the world is awesome. And I think you cut yourself short, because watching what you did just at a local meet was impressive. And was it your most serious performance?
No, yeah.
I think you raised to a point to where it's like, okay, I think I can get out there and kind of have fun with this. But just seeing it and being able to see it from a few feet away and just being able to produce something just off the rip, it speaks levels, volumes that I don't think anybody quite gets. And it's kind of like what you testified to watching Sam Gozo. I think you're more than on the same level as he is than you really think.
I don't believe you, but I really do appreciate the kind of words. Yeah, just thank you. I think again, I'm really hard on myself, so I really appreciate that though.
Yeah, of course. Everybody's going to be their toughest critic. And I would argue one of your biggest accomplishments is the Air Force Academy. And getting to the Air Force Academy by itself is a major accomplishment. What did the journey to earning that opportunity look like? And what did you have to sacrifice to overcome to get there? Because I have a cadet right now, Sotomayor. She is pursuing to go to the academy as well. And she was telling me, she's like, oh, I gotta do a PT test. I gotta do an academic test. I gotta have these scores here. I gotta be so high and all this other stuff. And she is a very smart, driven individual. And that's just her. I can only imagine how many other people that are out there that are on her same level and what the journey for you looked like. And break it down for everybody else, because I am more than confident, and you'll learn later that a few of the kids that have responded in have some of these exact same questions.
No, yeah, thank you so much for putting this question in, because I actually have I like to think a pretty interesting story with this, because I actually, and a lot of people don't know this, and I'm not scared to say it at all, but I actually didn't get into the academy my first try out of high school. It took me another whole year to get to the academy. And basically what that looked like for me was straight out of high school, I think you said it perfectly, like the quality of people that go to the academy is astonishing. And you have so many intelligent people, not only like intelligent academically, but you have these super athletes. Like everyone who goes to the academy were exceptional in everything they did, whether it be in JROTC, their student body, NHS programs, volunteering, Eagle Scouts, like all these people with PPLs, and it's ridiculous. And they all go to the academy, and again, they all apply. And looking back at high school, when I look back at me, I'm like, I was not that kid. I was like the kid who really, really, really had, like, this was my dream of mine, like going to the academy, but I was pretty lazy in high school. I was kind of like the guy who wouldn't do his homework, but, I'd squeak by, just taking the tests and kind of getting by kind of guy. And all I really focused on actually with the last 2 years, because I moved my senior year to a new high school, so I didn't really have any friends. I just did drill. And so I just did drill. I didn't really care much about anything else. And I think that factored in a little bit on why I didn't get into the academy the first time. But when you get an offer, or when you get a letter from the academy, it's either going to say a couple things. It'll either say, 1, congratulations, you've been accepted. 2, it'll say, you're not accepted, but we still want you to come back next year. Please go to a preparatory school at the academy. And then the third one is a Falcon Foundation scholarship, where it's like, we don't have any slots at the United States Air Force Academy prep school, but there's these other prep schools around the nation. There's about like 6 of them that we'll send you to, we'll fully pay for. Go there for a year and then come back and we'll admit you. And then the fourth one, which is what I got, is just a full-on rejection letter saying, no, thank you, we don't want you. That was a little harsh, but that's basically what I got. I was certain that I was going to get some sort of offer. I thought I was going to go to prep school. My father went to the academy. He went to the prep school. My sister went to the academy. She got a prep school slot. I was the loser of the family, where I got nothing.
Black sheep.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm a complete failure. But I wasn't, it was still my dream. I still got into like the other academies, but it was just not the Air Force Academy for some reason. And I think, God's plan, it worked out for me, because I think I needed the extra year. But what I ended up doing was, instead of just, moving on, taking my ball and going home, I paid myself to, I got a job, and I paid myself to go to Northwestern Preparatory School. I went there for a semester. It was a semester-long program where they specialize in getting you into the academy. And that was probably the hardest semester I've ever worked in my life to this day, even after the academy.
Wow.
I would wake up at 5 a.m. every day, study SAT cards. And just to kind of put into perspective what type of place it was about a 5-month program. And every day there, you had to memorize 20 vocabulary words verbatim and spell them out like to the letter. And if you didn't get every letter right, and punctuation right, then you'd get that one wrong. And we would get tested on it every day.
Oh my God.
And so that was the type of preparatory school I went to. And so I did that, and it was super, super good for me. It was like, I learned so much about how to study, what it actually took, not only to get into the academy. Well, this is what I liked. It didn't just help you get into the academy, but it helped you survive once you're in. Because I'm telling you right now, if I would have gone in straight out of high school, I would have flunked. I would have failed. I would have been miserable. So I did that for a semester, and then I did a semester at Auburn at Montgomery University. And thankfully for me, after all that, I actually got into the Air Force Academy my second time around. And I made it. I didn't flunk out or anything, but I think it's a super important lesson. And I wish people knew more about that kind of like opportunities that still arrive, even if you don't get in. It's like, to me, it's like, it happens. And it doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means that you needed another year to mature, or to get something that was missing. But I learned so much. I think I grew into my body a little bit when I was there. I learned how to study. I think I got smarter. And it kind of goes into this family curse my dad says we have, where it's like, we don't get everything we want on the first try, or we eventually get everything we want, but we have to take the long way or the hard way. And I think that was kind of the story with me with this one, is that I eventually got there, but it definitely took a lot more hard work. But that's my story with the academy, and I love the institution.
Yeah, and I can relate. I come from a family where they're not college educated. My sisters and I, we're probably the most educated, most successful out of my immediate family. And out of both my sisters and myself, my oldest sister got a scholarship to go to Incarnate Word. My youngest sister
Awesome.
my youngest sister got to go to a private school for Our Lady of the Lake here in San Antonio, and they're all successful in their own right. And then there was me. I went to high school. I didn't take it serious. I was very lazy. By the time my senior year came around, my parents were like, "What are you going to do?" And I was like, "Oh, I think I'm going to go to the military." And they were just like, "No, that's dumb. You're stupid." And I was like, "Exactly." And I couldn't go to college either. I did not. One, I didn't have the money. I didn't have the means, and I didn't have the discipline and the study habits to be able to take college serious and to be able to take it out of my own pocket. So I went to the Marine Corps, and it gave me the discipline. It gave me the structure to be able to go to college, be successful. And I was like, man, like this is everything I needed. So I understand the route and the journey to get to where you need to go. And I think that's so important, because I do think that a lot of people take it super hard when they don't get their first choice, or they get that rejection letter, and it's like the whole world crumbles. But for you to adapt, overcome, and be like, you know what, this isn't the end to my story. I'm still going to reach my goal, and making it happen is awesome. I think that's great. And it's good to know, because everybody only sees your successes, graduating from the academy. And it's good to finally break down and to let the world know, hey, like, yes, I reached my goal, but it took all this work to get there.
No, it's fantastic. I didn't even know your story, and that's fantastic story. I love what we learn in life. And again, I think I credit a lot of it to the military for me. So I think man, you have a fantastic story as well.
Thanks, man.
It inspires me. I'm like,
well, we made it, right? We
yep.
made it, and I got you on here. You have me asking you the right questions, and now everybody in the world is going to be able to know both Andrew Katz and Ed Andrade's story.
Right on.
So when you arrived at the academy, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make, not just as a cadet, but as someone who's trying to become the person they wanted to be? Because like you mentioned, obviously you come from a legacy. Your family's obviously well embedded into the academy, and you kind of struggled in the beginning. You went to your prep school. You got ready to go. What was that separation from that prep school to the academy? And once you got there, what did that look like? What did your day-to-day look like when you were there?
100%. So day-to-day life as a cadet we have a notorious, I went through a freshman year process. And if anyone who knows anything about the academies or really any type of military, like centered school, freshman year is usually not that nice to you. It's pretty rough, pretty similar to, I think, any other military college that I've heard. And so it was definitely quite a fire hose of a experience for me. Kind of like, it wasn't completely out of the norm. Just, I grew up being around the military, and I did JRTC. So I was familiar with the military style of things, but definitely like the day-to-day life of you, basically someone is in control of your life 24/7 the entire time when you're there, especially freshman year. So it was quite the change for me. It was a pretty big adjustment from going to pretty much 100% civilian to this, you are now in the military mentality. And again, it was like something I wanted, and it was like, I was ready for it. I was anticipating it, but it still is quite the change when you first do it and when it first happens to you. I think we all like kind of have the idea, we think of like, okay, it's going to be like Full Metal Jacket, and it's going to be like, that's how basic's going to be. And that's how my life's going to go. But then you do it yourself, and you're like, okay, this is like nothing that I really thought it was going to be. So I'm sure you have a better story on that, being a Marine. I couldn't even imagine. I think I would probably still be in shock. So I can only imagine what you have to say about it.
I got a couple. I don't think one's quite appropriate. Maybe I'll tell you after, or if anyone else is really
yeah.
I'll let you know. But I got a couple for you later.
No, yeah, awesome. I probably definitely have some, stories that I'll tell only in person. But outside of that, I think in terms of my character, the biggest adjustment I had to make, and what I kind of learned, and like until senior year, like I think overall at the academy, is humility for me. not only with myself, but with other people. And I think I learned a lot about what not only will the academy humble you, even being the dirtbag student that I was in high school and even at the prep school kicking my butt, I've never been humbled in the way that the academy has done to me. You know, like whether it be my calculus 2 class where I absolutely bombed my first test and I sit there after the exam. I'm like, well, what did I just do? I'm like, I can't believe I left half the exam blank. It was ridiculous in that sense. Or it be in some sort of military activity where I'm just getting my butt kicked physically and I need to mentally overcome this challenge. I think it will humble you in so many different ways up until my senior year where it's like, it's still humbling me. And I have so many stories with that just in what it's done for me. But I think humility is also in the sense of learning to work with people. I think everybody at the academy is a super type A type of person. And it's really hard to meet with all these people who are super high achievers and who all want to be in control or, you know, want a certain way. Like everyone wants different things. And maybe I'm I'm doing an overgeneralization of like everyone being super type A, but it's definitely a lot to work with. You have to lead these different types of people. And then you're basically leading your peers when you get higher up in your years. And so I think learning humility and learning that different mentalities and the way you communicate with people, the way you lead different people need to be different and kind of leveling yourself with that person. Because I think I'm a big go-getter. I'm a big energize your bunny type of person when it comes to doing stuff. And that is not always the way to do things when working with other people. And I think it's a bit of the soloist in me, I think, that I've learned. Like, I'm big on like, well, we have to do it this way. And like, you guys need to come to my level and you guys need to do what I'm doing because I know what I'm doing is right and blah, blah, blah. And that's just like wrong. That's a wrong mentality. You really do have to learn humility in that aspect. So that was I think that is a huge adjustment for me as a person of my character that I learned through the academy.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a tough pill to swallow or a tough lesson to learn is really taking yourself back. The saying's true is of there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And it's kind of the way of the land, you know, for guys like us, we love to be able to take charge. We love to be able to orchestrate the operation of whatever's in charge and to be able to get the mission done all on our back. And sometimes, you know, it takes a really hard slap in the face to really wake you up and be like, okay, hold on. Like, obviously I know I'm trying to work this thing. So and so's trying to work this thing. You know what? Hey, like instead of us clashing, you take it. What do you need from me? And especially from like you said, the people that are type A kind of people. And what was there ever a situation that you had at the academy that kind of made you realize like, oh, hey, let me take this back seat or maybe someone needs help here and they're willing to hear what you have and y'all were able to figure out the situation together.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and this is a good story because it relates to drill. It was actually our group team this year, I think.
Okay.
I have so many other stories too. I was a cadet squadron commander while I was at the academy. I was leading 120 plus cadets, which I definitely had a lot of stories with that. But this one especially was something that I learned for myself that I was like, I needed to correct myself. And basically with the group team, I'm not sure how many people knew this, but half the team were freshmen that were
Wow.
on. Yeah, half of them were brand new freshmen. One was a sophomore and then one other senior, and he was the team lead. And then there was me. So there's 6 of us, 3 freshmen, and it was the problem that ended up happening was if you ever meet me in kind of this coach drilling mode, I'm very, very kind of rigid, upfront. I'm the type of person that I learned this past semester was like, I'm very much so like, I'm going to tell you what you did wrong. We debrief and you need to go fix it. Very much so like, I think fighter pilot mentality, that's how it is with pilots. Like it is very like, you get debriefed, you get told what you sucked at, and then you move on. And I think that's what happened with me is that's how I kind of led the team a little bit. I wasn't necessarily the leader, but I was the one who spearheaded this group. And what I learned was, again, and what I mentioned earlier is just the biggest thing that I learned was I cannot force the mentality I have onto other people because it's a toxic trait to have as a leader. And that's what I severely learned this past year because what that ended up happening was we had one run at one of our comps, the first performance we had, and it was a very bad run. We dropped. And what I did was I basically right after I said, we sucked. I was like, we sucked. This was wrong, blah, blah, blah. We need to do better. We need to go practice harder, blah, blah, blah. And that didn't click with most of the team. It was very much so the negative effect. Instead of what I thought was going to happen was like, man, he's right. Like, that sucked. We need to do better. It was very much so, man, I want to quit. Like, I don't know if I could do this. And it went into this mentality where it's like, I have a very different mentality of drill where it's like, I'm willing to practice every hour and day, blah, blah, blah. And put in every single ounce of thing into it, where not everybody's at that level. Because one thing that, again, being at the academy, it's a part-time gig being in the drill team. It's like one of the guys on the team, he's the drill flight commander for the team, and he's also actively applying for medical school. So again, it's like we have a whole different life outside of drill.
Right.
So it's impossible to kind of do that ask of them. So I learned that, like, so that was like a specific instance. I learned at the end that I was like, man, I need to take a step back and I need to realize that I cannot force the mentality I have onto everybody because it's toxic. It's bad and it's going to hurt people, and people are going to misunderstand or, take it the wrong way, or they're going to understand it and not want it and not appreciate it. And so doing that was the wrong way. And that was something that I learned with that team. And I think at the end we did pretty good. We didn't get the result we wanted, but I actually think the team came together at the end. I think we had a good time, and we knew what we could put down, even though we didn't do what we knew we could do at Worlds. I think we all knew we had some good performances towards the end, and it ended up on a high note. And I love all those guys. I plan to go back and just saying what's up to them and visit them. So it ended on a good note. It was a good news story, I think. But again, I think it started very rough, and it was a very harsh kind of team environment at first. And I think it was due to me. And I think that's the biggest lesson I learned with that. Again, humility, being able to humble yourself and understand the perspectives of others was a big lesson for me.
Right. I feel like that's always every great leader's first lesson, is really just being the ears of your people, really just being able to listen and really just to be able to dissect and understand what's going on. Because things could have turned bad if you didn't really step back and reflect. It probably would have gotten to the point where maybe some of these guys are like, you know what, like, hey, Andrew, this is part-time. I don't need this. I'm just going to quit.
Mhm.
And so being able to really see and think back and to be able to identify the things that the individual, that yourselves need to work on. Like, I think that's a great characteristic of leadership. And I'm glad that you got to speak about your group team, because being a part of your cadet honor guard and the Pershing rifles, obviously, how has being a part of those teams shape your understanding of what professionalism looks like in drill? Because obviously the academy, you have to have a look. There's a different style than what world drill is. And what was it that y'all had to come together and really figure out to be like, this is the look we need to have. This is what this team needs to look like. This is what quote unquote professionalism needs to look like. What did that look like for you?
No, I think this is a great question. I think there's so many different avenues you could take with it. But I think what you said is what I wanted to say was, like, I think the biggest thing I learned about professionalism was the look in that first impression. I think at the academy, the Cadet Honor Guard, we have a lot of ton of internal debates and troubles. It's gone under reconstruction. It would be a whole podcast in itself to just talk about the Cadet Honor Guard. It's truly a complicated beast, and to this day, still a lot going on with it. But I do think the one thing that's pretty consistent throughout its time, and even to this day, is that kind of desire for the look, and that what others will see. And even though we're going through our own stuff, what is the Cadet Honor Guard kind of look going to be like? And I think it's something, I think attention to detail is a big part of it, where everyone on the team, when the first day you join the team, or the first week in which you process, you get a list, and it's like, okay, guys, you need to get these list of items, and they're pretty much optional, but they're not really optional, and they're just small things that most people at at USAFA don't wear. It's the rank spacers for your shoulder board ranks, and elastic belts, and the clickers, and then you need to get in a certain color, and then we all get the same boots, and you should have this certain type of haircut when we go to comp. And again, I think having that look is a big tell in a team. It's something that's different, where it's you look at, I'm bashing my own team here, but like, River City versus the Cadet Honor Guard. It's like if you took them both and stripped them down of their uniforms and put them side by side and just like in civilian clothes, it'd be like, could you tell which one is a cadet and which one is on River City? And the goal is like, yes, you could tell which one the cadet is because of it's not about the uniform 100%. It's about how are they carrying themselves as a person. Does this person clean shaven? Does this person have a clean haircut? Does this person carry himself in the way that is one of a future U.S. officer? And so that is like the goal with the Cadet Honor Guard is we are the ones trying to uphold the standard, not only for ourselves, but for the entire academy. And that's like a big thing we preach on is like, we are the standards for cadets. We are the ones striving. We are supposed to be, the highest standards for cadets and what a cadet should look like. And so that's something we've always strived for. So I think that look is a big part when we show up to comps. It's like you're not just going to wear whatever you want. It's like you're going to wear the same exact thing that every other teammate's wearing, and you need to get with the program because that look is important. Like when someone looks at you, you should look like a future U.S. officer, and you should look like you're part of the team, and you should look like you're ready to win because it starts there. It doesn't start when you're on the drill pad and you have a rifle in your hands. It starts before that. And so I think that's like the biggest thing I learned from professionalism and how it kind of shaped with the team. I think we do a good job with that. Regardless of our problems, I think we do have the desire and that want where it's like we need to look the part before we even pick.
Right. What did you think was the crown jewel of your uniform? What was the piece of uniform that you said, like, this is going to be the piece where everybody knows who we are? What was your favorite piece and what was maybe your least favorite piece?
I think my favorite piece that if it was done good, it like to me, it tells me what type of person you are on the team was your beret. 100%. We all have the black beret. Only the only people who can wear black berets at the academy are people in the Cadet Honor Guard or like on a drill team. And when you look at someone's beret, you could tell, like, does it look good? And also seniors at the academy wear berets. We all wear blue berets. We don't wear black. And I think that was just something across the academy where it's like, I could tell what type of person you are based on your beret. Because a beret is a thing where you're kind of like, you're mandated to have it on the team because you have to, it's not like something you're going to use every day at the academy. It's something you have to put a lot of time into for a small detail, for like a 5-minute detail. But when you look at someone with the beret, and if they have the sharp, the flap that goes, over your eye and it's shaven and the flash is where it's supposed to be and it's folded and there's no wrinkles in it and it looks good, that tells me like this person did what they're like, did the little stuff right. And they took time into looking good. And I think and when it looks good, it looks great. Berets are awesome. I love berets. I love the way it looks. Best headgear by a long shot. Nariah would disagree with me there. But anyway.
I'm in agreement 100%.
Yeah, I'm team beret all the way. And I think I'm going to keep wearing them for as long as I can. The least favorite part, very specific for us, but we had clickers. I like the clickers, like on the heels. I don't know, like cheater bars, people call them. We had black cheater bars for our blues though. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the black ones. It's such a silly little thing, but there really wasn't a lot of things I disliked. That was the only thing where I wish I could change where we didn't do black because I think the silver ones are better in the aspect where you could tell someone who's put in the work when you shine your cheater bars and you could see it shine in the silver. I like that better. And I think like it would again, it'd be similar to the beret story where it's like you could tell if someone put in the time because that's a lot of work. It tells me the quality person you are. And the black ones, not only like is it sort of cheating, quote unquote, with like, not shining them, but also when the paint scratches off, it kind of looks a little tacky at the end.
Right.
So I would say that's probably my least favorite. That's like such a niche, like small detail. It's not even a big deal. But if I had to change something, I would change that to be silver. That way you can actually shine them and fix them up.
I mean, sometimes it's the small things that, people don't notice that are the big issue. So, I mean, hey, it may be small, but I mean, it can be the difference.
100%.
Okay. So I want to start kind of diving into your drill legacy a little bit. And your journey eventually took you from high school drill to the academy. We've seen the world stage. Was there a specific moment in time when you realized that this isn't just a performance anymore, that you belong on that level, you belong in the medals round in worlds? Like, was there ever a moment where you're performing and you just mentally said, God, this feels right? Take me through that moment.
This is a fantastic question. And I think honest answer here is I think it took up until this year for me to realize and kind of look around and be like, yeah, maybe I do belong here. And I think what it was is so there's kind of two parts to that question. I think one, I started realizing the attention I was getting around 2023, my freshman year, when I got second place for the first time. I think after that year, I started to realize the attention that people were kind of giving me, saying like, oh, wow, like Katz, he's a good driller, blah, blah, blah. Like whatever they say. I started realizing that word was kind of going around. I was like, oh wow, people actually kind of like recognize me, like I'm not like, or are kind of seeing me. But I didn't believe that I belonged there. And the thought process in my mind, again, I'm extremely hard on myself, and I think a lot of people don't realize is how much like I struggle with that in my life, just being hard on myself. That like the first year, my journey throughout all of it was in 2021 at nationals. That was my senior year. I did a solo. I dropped 2 times, and I sucked. Anyone who knew me back then, like I kind of sucked. I really sucked my first year. I even got like bullied for it. But then when I went to nationals, I actually did quite a bit of improvement to where people kind of recognized that, but I still dropped twice. It was just really hard on me. And I was like, man, I suck. And then next year, it was my first year post high school. I ended up not dropping in prelim, dropped in medal round, but I medaled, and I thought that was a huge deal. I was like, oh my gosh, like I medaled, like I don't, like I'm not a complete loser. Maybe there's a shot of me, being a good driller. So that was a huge milestone in my life. I was like, oh man, I medaled.
Yes.
And then so 2022 was great for that. And then around that basic mentality just kind of stuck with me up until this year, I think. 2023, I got second in tandem and solo. And my thought was like, man, that was a fluke. I was like, I got real lucky then. It was like, it's the year. It was weekend competitors that year. It was like, if Andres Ryan or something was competing that year, I wouldn't even have medals or something. And then the next year happened. I got second place again. I didn't place in tandem because my tandem partner dropped. Love Dito. Shout out Dito. But he dropped. I got second again. And I was like, okay, I fluked again. I was like, it's, like I didn't believe it. I was like, I think I'm still like, it doesn't make sense. I was like, I think I'm still like, I just got lucky again. Like, that's just how it happens. And then the next year I got fourth in solo, but I won tandem, and that was with Trey. And then that year I was like, it solidified. I was like, man, like I don't belong. I was like, I'm not, like I knew it. I was like, I knew I'm not a good driller. And then I was like thinking with the tandem with Trey, I was like, yes, I don't think people realize this. And again, not trying to be ungrateful for the world champion. Like extremely grateful to God that happened. But in my head, I was thinking, I was like, well, the guy who just won solo won tandem, and I did the tandem with him. So, he probably carried me. I was like, he's probably the one that got me the win. It wasn't a team effort. It was like he carried the team basically. And so up until this year, I got second in solo again, but I got first in tandem. So I kind of disproved both theories. I think now where it's like, okay, getting second 3 times in a row, there's like, okay, maybe I don't suck. Maybe it's like, I really am just right there. And maybe it's like, okay, there is something that it just doesn't make sense. Now it's like kind of, I'm starting to believe maybe I do belong here. And especially with the tandem, I think doing it with someone else, I didn't do it with someone else on purpose. It was just the way the academy did things, and they made me do it with someone at the academy. But I did it with Kyler, one of my absolute best friends. He was a freshman at the academy. Now he's a sophomore, but he was brand new to the team on Patriot Guard before that. So, very good driller. But it wasn't until I did it with someone else, I was like, okay, like I helped the tandem, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't just me being lucky the whole time. So I really do think like it wasn't until this year where it's like, man, I actually feel like, and it took a lot of people to get me there. Real big shout out to Naraya. I had a lot of conversations with him where it's like, I sat down with him, I talked to him, I was like, dude, I don't understand why people think I'm good at drill. Cause I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I suck. I'm like, I look at my solos and I'm like, how did this even get there? I was like, it doesn't make any sense. And I just see all like the imperfections and kind of things like that. And so I'm like, I'm just getting lucky, dude. I'm like, I don't understand like what's going on. I was like, I'm not that good. And so I think it didn't take until this year where it's like, okay, I'm not perfect. I was like, maybe I'm not at the level I want to be, but it doesn't mean I'm bad at drill. I think like, I think now I could comfortably say like, yeah, I think I am pretty good at drill, and I have a lot of ambitions and goals with it still. But it really did take this year, not just by winning and stuff, but from the people that I actually sat down and had conversations with, kind of talking to me. And real big shout out to Naraya. He was really the big one who we had a lot of big conversations just talking about drill, and with me in it, that I'm like, man, I do belong here. I'm in the right place. And it's nice knowing that now because it's kind of relaxing. I don't feel like I have a lot of pressure on my back, but it really did take into this year, I think.
One, I'm so glad that you're seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. And two, man, it breaks my heart in a way because I know what it's like being your toughest critic. And I try to bleed that same lesson to my soloist at Soto. And to see somebody be so great and to really beat themselves down and to almost to where they defeat themselves, it's hard. Because I know for me, like, I forgot where I heard it, but it's like your greatest enemy is the one that's in your head. And I was like, man, I was like, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, yeah.
And
100%.
I fought with me for so long on doing this thing. And I've been super hesitant to get myself back out there because I'm no Jackson Blade Rainwater. I'm no Andrew Katz, Matt Wendling. You know, my name does not hold water compared to what some of you guys are. And I'm so grateful to know that you finally broken that mold because even getting second place on a world stage and Jackson and I kind of talked about it a few weeks ago that the drill world right now is it's overflowing with talent. It's overflowing with so much, and I can only see how much more competitive it is, and how every year everybody has to take it up just that next notch. And I think, regardless of it being runner up, and I know I have some philosophy with Soto where it's like, you know, second place is first place loser,
Preaching to the choir here, yeah.
but regardless, it's a great accomplishment in your own right.
I'm just, again, I think it's a good thing. I actually, this is probably the first time me ever talking out loud about it. Just this whole mentality. I think people probably think like, oh, of course Andrew Katz thinks he's a great driller. I think I'm definitely a perfectionist through and through. And I think that mentality is what's gotten me to where I'm at today. But I think it's very important to talk about, again, yeah, not like, it took me 6 years of drill to get where I'm at now, where I don't feel like I'm worthless in drill or I suck at drill. It took me that long to realize my worth and kind of my improvement to what the level that I'm at today. And again, this is no way me saying that like I've peaked and I've made it and I'm great. I still think I have a lot of work and that there's still a lot of that within me. I'm not 100% cured, so to speak, but I do think I'm in such a better spot I am today with the friends I have, just realizing that I'm not completely worthless. And I think it's such an important thing to talk about because I think it destroys people in drill. And it saddens me to see like other great people who are great at drill. And you could tell that they're drilling with anger or some sort of negative emotion that's not good for them.
Yeah, with a big chip on the shoulder or something.
Yes, yes. And it saddens me to see because I'm like, I feel you. I'm like, I'm right there with you right now. But I think it's important to take a step back. And I think I'm at a much better place now. And I'm glad I could talk about it. I'm glad you've given me the platform to talk about it. This is such great, people don't ask these questions every day.
Yeah, and I wanna know the challenges. I wanna know your story. In no shape or form is anybody perfect on here, but it's good to know because it gives everybody a different perspective because I think everybody only sees the YouTube videos. Everybody only sees what's put out there or what they saw, but they don't see the work or all of the pain and the suffering and the countless hours of practice it takes to get to that point. And I think that's super important because, like I said, people see your Instagram, they're like, oh my God, Andrew Katz, he went to the academy. That's so great. But they didn't know what it took to get there. Hey, Andrew Katz won world's tandem, but what did it take to get there? And I think that's super important. And you breaking this down for not just me, but for everybody else that's listening, I think that's super important. And it goes for anybody else that's out there that's listening. Like, don't cut yourself short and think that the people that you're going up against is just naturally great. You really have to peel it back and think there's more to it than just what YouTube and what social media gives you. And we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but you've competed in solo, tandem, and now in group at the highest levels. What has each format taught you about yourself that others couldn't?
No, such a great question. This was one that I talked to my parents about a lot. And we kind of open discussioned it and what I thought each category taught me different things. I think in terms of my favorite is definitely between tandem and group. I think tandem slightly has the better edge of being my favorite to do. But group is a very close second, but I've only done it twice. So I think the more I do, I'll probably love it more. I think group taught me, and we already talked about it, but humility. working with others, and adaptability in terms of drill. So like adaptability, it improved my adaptability with drill, learning how to adapt to others. Again, being a soloist by nature or by start, it's everyone, it's story as old as time. We're not great group drillers, right? Trying to get a bunch of soloists to do something group related, it'd be the exact same. We all did different techniques and all that. It's hard. So it taught me a lot of adaptability and kind of that stuff in terms of drill. But in terms of like character and personal things, I think humility, again, with that story with the group, it taught me how to. I think of a quote, and this could be seen as negative, and I don't mean it in a negative sense, but it's just, I think it's a great quote to kind of relay my thoughts. It's by Kobe Bryant. And the quote goes, "After all, greatness isn't for everybody." And again, that kind of seems negative where it's like his intention is like saying, well, I can't make everybody great. If you want to be a loser, or be a loser. Not necessarily my message, but I think the quote still stands in the sense where it's like, I can't force greatness upon you, or I can't force my mentality upon you. It has to come from you. I think that's the intent of the message, is like, it has to come from you, can't come from one person. So that's like, again, that humility with the group, like learning that you can't do that with other people, and learning a common ground is super important to the group team. And once you get that down, a brotherhood will form that's like awesome. Tandem taught me a lot. Tandem, I think, taught me how to have fun with drill a lot. I think it's where I have the most fun.
Love
And
tandem.
yeah, 100%. I think it's where I get the most creative, especially this past tandem. I don't think a lot of people know this, but me and Trey, the year we won, we made that tandem like the day before. Like straight up, I'm not trying to make like a story up to make it sound cool. It is what happened. We made the tandem in a day, maybe two. We like drafted it a little before at Rocky Mountain Drill Nationals, and then we basically scrapped like half of it and did like a whole new thing by the time we made it to Daytona. And it was like, that's just like how it happened. Me and Kyler, though, the one that I just won with, we actually sat down and had a lot of time to work on it. And so I think it was one of my more ironed out tandems. Still not great because we're on an academy schedule. So we'd have to like do it after class, after group practice. So we would be meeting up at like 7 p.m. up until like 11 to work on it.
Right.
It was a big sacrifice for us. But again, academy schedule. But we still like, that is probably the most time I put into tandem. And it taught me how to have fun with drill. It taught me greatly how to adapt. And then one great tip about Andrew Katz, if there's one thing I suck at, this is not just me, like I straight up suck at this. Like a high schooler's better at me than this, is transfers. I suck at transfers. Call me a soloist. I suck at them. Kyler is so much better at them than I. So it taught me a lot about transfers. And so solo is probably like the most personal, deep things I've learned. There's like every year I learn something new. But the one thing that's consistent and the biggest thing it's taught me that like goes into my life is having purpose and then persistence. Those two things. I think before I did drill in high school, again, I was a dirtbag. I didn't really do much. I just kind of did what floats my boat kind of guy. But once I got into drill, it gave me purpose. Like my parents told me this. They said, yeah, before you started drilling, we didn't really know what you're like. We knew you wanted to go to the academy, but like you were kind of, just there. You didn't like, you weren't a guy who's like, yeah, I'm a football player. I go to football practice, or I'm a baseball player. I go to baseball practice. It's like, you just kind of did whatever, until drill. Drill gave me purpose in kind of my life, and it gave me something to work towards. And it really has translated into everything else in my life now. So that is like a big thing personally with me. But in terms of character persistence, again, I'm not a naturally born gifted driller. I'm about 5 feet and 5 inches, and I was skin and bones when I first started drill. I wish I could show a picture right now of what I look like. It has taught me that with not discipline, because I don't think I'm that disciplined, funny enough. Maybe to my standards, I think I'm not disciplined enough. It's hard to think that like, oh, dude, you went to the academy. But like, to me, in my head, it's like, I'm actually not that disciplined, because to me, it's like, if I was disciplined, I'd be doing this on a strict schedule every single day, blah, blah. In my head, I'm not disciplined. I'm persistent. And I think one thing in my personality that I picked up from drill is that, I may not be the person who's gonna show up every day with a 100% great attitude and be motivated and be this type of guy. Like, I'm probably gonna, have a frown on my face sometimes, and I may not want to do it, and I may be demotivated and all that stuff. But if there's one thing I know about myself, is that I'll be the guy that shows up every day. I will be there for the long haul. I will be there, and I'll be working, and I'll give it my best for what I have at that day. I may not be your star people, but I will be there every day. And I think that attitude kind of carried me into drill, into a good one, where once I actually started improving, it worked out. But I think persistence is a big one, that tenacity of being tenacious and, just getting out there, going out there every day, even if it's like you're just going out there for 5 seconds or something. Being persistent is such a key skill, where it's like if people just didn't give up and like didn't like just put the hatchet away, you would be at a level that's comparable to everybody, And I think like I wish people saw that more. And it saddens me to see like, such wasted talent, people who are way more talented than I am starting drill, just kind of give up. Cause I'm like, dude, if you just sat there and just kept trying, you'd get there.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, self-motivation is the hardest motivation to,
Hmm.
and I mean, that goes for anything, whether it's you're getting outside and trying to drill a little more, whether it's maybe you want to get a little bit more active and you want to go run a mile. And no, it is significantly easier to sit back, just sit down on the sofa, put Family Guy on, and just chillax. It is
Yeah.
significantly easier, but nothing great comes from just waiting. You got to get out there. You have to be
Hmm.
motivated, and like you said, it's persistence. If I know I'm going to be a part of something, like if I was ever a member of like these groups where it's like Lone Star and River City and all those, like if I knew that I was a member of those things, I would be there every day, no
Yep.
doubt. I would be
Hmm.
there early. I would already have 30 minutes of practice in. I'd be reviewing whatever I did the last time, whatever. If it's something I know I'm in it with others, no problem. But if it's something I'm having to do on my own, like doing this whole podcast thing, like this thing has been this thing has been something so different for me. And like you said, it's the persistence and it's the feedback that I'm getting from others where they're like, oh my God, like that was so great. I had no idea. And I got guys like you and these other young drillers that want to know questions about you that make me want to keep doing this thing. So it's giving me that motivation to do so. But it took a lot of meditating and reflecting and really, really talking to my inner demons and telling myself, just nut up or shut up.
Yeah.
Either like you're going to do it or you're not. And when you do it, you never know. And it's funny because my wife and I will talk and she got frustrated with me the other day and she's like, it's all you talk about. You only want to talk about your podcast. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm sorry. It's fun. I'm having a good time. And it's funny because I did not think I would have so much fun doing this thing. And it goes to everything that you said. Like if drill has taught me and it's very much has taught you the just the persistence aspect of all this. I think that's so great, man.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you ever stop doing this, I'm gonna call you or something and be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "This is the greatest thing that we've had in a while." And you need to like, I'll find anyone if you've run out of people to interview to go interview. No,
Yeah.
it's like fantastic. You've done such a great job for the community, and seriously, it's like I'm just so humbled and honored to be. Again, I was like watching them. I was like, man, I really hope he texts me. I'm like, I want to be on this. I was like, it's awesome, dude.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, like it's awesome knowing the other reactions that I'm getting from this thing. I think it's super cool. And we'll get to me later. I got. Hey, we'll get to me later, man. We're here for Second Lieutenant Andrew Katz, and I want to know the next thing. Right? Did you really think that was it? Psych. No. Andrew Katz and I had probably talked to for God knows how many hours. And unfortunately, like I said, if you are interested in listening to more than just an hour of me and my guest rant, let me know. So that way I'll make these episodes a little longer. I was told 45 minutes needs to be a little longer, so I made them an hour. But if you think you need more of it, let a driller know. Send me on Instagram. I won't know until you tell me. Until then, guess what? They're going to be an hour or they're going to have to be split up. I'm sorry, people. So look forward to episode 12 and everything else that comes with it, with the continuation of Andrew Katz's story. And on top of that, like, you think I'm going to end on episode 11? I feel like that's a psychopath number to end an episode on. What good series ends on an odd number? Not including anime, because anime sometimes ends on 25 episodes a season, but we're not ending on 11, people. So let me close it out with this, that most people will never understand what it takes. The hours, the sacrifices, the bruises, the failures, all for a few minutes on a competition floor. This is a world where perfection isn't expected, it's demanded. A world of intense formations, razor-sharp movements, and thrilling tosses that leaves the crowd speechless. The difference between a winner and a champion? A winner will practice until they get it right. But a champion will practice until they can't get it wrong. And yet, despite all the talent, dedication, and passion, drill remains one of the most overlooked competitive activities in the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, that changes here. That changes here with you and me. This is where the stories are told. This is where the legends are remembered. This is where the future of drill is built. Everybody, I'm Edward Andrade, and I welcome you to the Drill Pad, the voice of the drill community and the home of champions. Like I've said, everybody, can't do it on episode 11. We got to go to 12. So I hope you all look forward to number 12 and the finale of season 1. Everybody, we made it. We made it to the finale. Hope you're all looking forward to that. I am excited. There is so much more that's given out on episode 12 that I am fired up and I'm super excited. I'm even debating about releasing it early. One, because like I said, the last half of this interview was great and it brings me chills thinking about it. So I hope you are looking forward to it too. But in the meantime, if you have questions, comments, concerns, anything, let a driller know. I'm right here. TH3 DrillPad on Instagram. Send me a message. TH3DrillPad@gmail.com for an email. It doesn't matter what it is. I want to know. If you have an instructor that you think has a great story that'd love to get onto the podcast, that maybe drill has influenced him and his unit to grow, let me know. If you have a soloist that's out there that is making his name, I want to know. Let a guy know. TH3 DrillPad. Everybody, I appreciate you all listening. If it's your first time, welcome. If you've listened to it before, I appreciate you returning. For everybody that's tuning in, I appreciate your time. You're all dismissed. Take care.